What's up, y'all? We are back on The Traditional Millennial. I am your host, Brittany Dodson, and on today's episode, what we're doing is answering, discussing, tackling the questions that I asked you to send to me on social media. And today I have two familiar faces here with me because, for one, I feel like, varying perspectives on topics is always good. It's very necessary sometimes. And three heads are better than one. And then two, I know them, so I like to deal with people that I know. But I'm not going to talk too much because I want us to be able to go ahead and answer these questions as thoroughly and detailed as possible in hopes that it will help you in some sort of way. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the first question. First question is, and, either one of y'all can answer these questions at any time. Doesn't matter, however you want to do it. But first question is, what's your take on discussing politics, religion, and controversial matters in the workplace? One of y'all want to?
I don't.
Yeah, I kind of steer clear.
Okay. Well, I guess for me, I'm about to be the eyeball. I don't discuss it if it just depends. Like I don't really discuss religion per se. I have faith-based conversations with people, especially if people ask me stuff. I'm not ever going to not answer, or at least try to answer if I can, if they are really inquisitive and want to know something. But I would say, for the person who asked this question, if you know that you are a person who cannot have a calm, civil, or intelligible conversation outside of the workplace, like in an informal environment, like with your family or friends, you had a cookout or something, if you can't have a conversation like that and stay calm and keep your emotions in check, then you definitely don't need to be having a conversation like that at work. Because you got to know who and how you are. And even if you are a person, because some people don't get upset or they don't get in their feelings about certain topics. They just don't. They're pretty calm people. But also, you got to know the people you're talking to as well if you're at work. Because if you're talking to somebody who gets hostile and like goes to 100 really quickly, even if you are a calm person, you probably don't need to engage in certain conversations like that. Because if you can't keep your cool, then it really is not worth it. And then too, like when you're at work, like I don't know how you are at work, but most people don't go to work to make friends to hang out with, like all the time, or to be on the phone with all the time. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to mend those type of relationships, and you don't want to be the reason there's decreased morale in your workplace. So I would just say, to thine own self be true, and know the person on the other end. And I don't know, because I don't tell people not to.
Right.
I mean, because if you
mean not to have the conversations.
Yeah, I mean, because if it's going to be helpful, or if you're going to give somebody some sort of informative insight about something that may help them to make an informed decision, then okay, but you still got to know yourself, and you got to know the other person you're talking to too. So
in those type of conversations and debates, I don't understand why emotions, like when people's emotions get high, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Like to me, when I see people get emotional about things that they claim that they stand for, it kind of shows the opposite.
Yeah. Maybe
when I see you get emotional, it makes me think you don't believe in what you really saying.
Yeah, and too, especially like if somebody is maybe disagreeing with you or sharing their opinion on something with you, if you feel how you feel, you believe what you believe, why would you get in your feelings about somebody else's belief?
Right.
Like, you're not gonna make me mad about something you feel. Because when we walk away from this conversation, I'm still gonna feel how I feel, and now I'm mad because of how you feel.
Yes, that's where emotional intelligence and maturity comes in.
Right. Absolutely.
Being able to agree to disagree.
Yep. Boom. There you go.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. That's it. Period. Okay. Next question. What's your advice on dating someone who doesn't bring a lot to the table?
Loaded question. I'll let the women answer that one
I don't
first.
want to answer this question. I don't.
So, okay, I'll pose a question to that question. What is a lot to the table? Or doesn't, like, what deems a lot not
That's
a
what
lot?
I wanted. I probably should have asked the person that asked. It was a young man that asked, and I probably should have said, what does a lot mean? Because I don't know. I don't know. I don't know because I want to know, like, what table you sitting at,
Right.
like what do
What's
you
the
have at the
table?
table already? What do you want somebody to bring? Like because I think that's just, I don't know. I don't really ever like that language anyway. I've never been a fan of that.
So, in my humble opinion, as a human that has done the work, when you're a person that does the work, you bring value to everyone by default.
Yes, absolutely.
So that question, I really don't understand it.
I don't know. That's so terrible. Maybe I should have thought about it, looked at this, and really thought about it before. I don't know because okay. So here, I don't know. Let me just maybe try to use this scenario. So let's say, for instance, and I'm gonna maybe help try to frame this question. I don't know. Let's say, for instance, you're out somewhere, and you see somebody that's physically attractive. And not only are they physically attractive, but like their demeanor, their countenance, their vibes, like their spirit is they're an attractive person, right? Mm-hmm. So y'all exchange numbers and you talk on the phone, you know, kind of get to know each other. Maybe you hang out a little bit. They're fun to be around. But then let's say they are a school teacher. They're a school teacher. You learn they're a school teacher, right? And you are a plumber. I don't know. And so, I don't know. I'm so terrible with examples. I'm trying here. And so you get to talk to them. So we're going to say the woman is a school teacher and the man is a plumber, okay? So you get to talk to them, and you're working for somebody right now, right? But you're very ambitious. You like see past like what you're doing right now, and there are a lot of goals that you're working towards. You're actively working towards these things, right? Mm-hmm. And so one day you want to have your own plumbing business. You're working towards that. You're doing what you got to do. But the woman she's a school teacher, and that's all she wants to do ever. Like, she doesn't want to do anything else. She doesn't express to you that she has any sort of aspirations for anything, like nothing. She just wants to teach school, go home, do nothing else. Mm-hmm. Let's say you're a man who has said, I want a woman who is ambitious, who wants to achieve other things, and who wants to go after other stuff, whatever. And but you like this girl, like this woman. She's fun, she's good conversation, it's good. But she just doesn't bring that to the table, and you feel like she won't understand what you are trying to work towards. Would you continue to date her, or would you have to say no because you don't feel like that's going to change? And you could like switch the scenario around to make it fit you, man, whatever.
Gotcha.
But okay, so maybe that. I don't know.
I mean, so if like you said, if the guy's ambitious and he's going after, owning his own business, is it really for her to understand?
Well, I'm saying but y'all are. What do you mean when you say what do you mean by that? When you say is it for her to understand?
Because you basically you framed it saying like that he would be apprehensive that she wouldn't understand.
Maybe like later on, like she wouldn't.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a matter of like ambition is very personal. So should anyone really understand a person's personal ambitions? I don't think is that a make or break thing in a relationship.
I'm just.
And then the example you use teacher. That's one of the most important jobs.
I agree.
Period, in my opinion.
But I'm saying, like, based on what the man said he wanted from someone, would you consider her not bringing a lot if she lacks ambition? Like, if she
I see.
You know what I'm saying? And then like not more so you, cause like let's be real, if you are a person who's a go-getter and you're dealing with somebody who isn't, sometimes in some situations that poses an issue because this person does not understand you working all the time. This person doesn't understand how you're not always available. Like, you know, and so would you feel like because they don't bring ambition to the table, they will not be able to understand why you do what you do to get where you are?
I mean, it's possible, but from a man's standpoint, I feel like that's a part of like leading. Like as a man, you how can I put this? I'm using my words carefully.
Just say what you say.
I feel like that's more on the woman to say, I want a guy that has this criteria. Like for a man, by you being in a leadership position, you should lead by example so that understanding kind of just comes about. It's not a thing of like, okay, well, I want a woman that has this criteria because if not, then she might not understand. It's like you're supposed to just, how you carry yourself should make those things kind of fall in line, if that makes sense.
It makes sense because you should just do that. Like, I mean, that should just be by default.
Right,
like,
that's your personal mission.
It should be like, period, for men in general,
yeah.
Period. But let's be real, though. A lot of women don't get that. A lot of women do not. Y'all know that. Like, it's women out here who fuss about stuff all the time when it's not something that they feel like they directly benefit from. So if I'm not directly getting all your time, that's an issue for some women.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I don't know if that's like, I don't know if when we say people say bring a lot to the table, if you're basing that on what you think will happen, or if you're basing that on what you see. I don't know. Because my thing is, I feel like you're going to know what a person brings to the table before you even get deep into something with somebody. Like, for you, like for a man, like if you see that early, do you base a lack of her ambition on like a character default? Like, is that something that's going to be an issue? Like, I don't know. Like, would you stop talking to her? Would you just continue in hopes that it all works out?
Me personally, I wouldn't. That's not a deal breaker for me. And then also, I'll say, I think in this time, we spend a lot of time focusing on a lot of things that have to do with relationship that's outside of, do you like this person? Like all of those, like this person has to have, this list of things, or they have to be this type of personality type. I think we spend a lot of time worrying about all the things that are outside of, do you have a genuine connection with this person?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's one thing that makes relationships and dating so difficult and challenging.
Okay, so,
We've complicated life. When we were in grade school, you just knew that you liked this little girl. She was
check
cute.
yes or no. Do you want to?
It was very simple.
It's so simple. Stuff is so hard now. So are we back to where we started? I don't know.
I would say this, add this to what's been said. What you would have to know, like this question is subjective.
Right.
Right.
Very much so.
You would have to know what you are actually wanting to set the table for. Like, what kind of food you want. You want Mexican? You want soul food? Like, what are you looking for? So it's hard to say what is not a lot and what's, sufficient.
Right.
Some men only want a woman that's supportive and feminine. She doesn't have to have ambition. If she's just there being supportive and taking care of the house or whatever, or being his biggest cheerleader, she doesn't have to have the highest IQ. She doesn't have to know how to invest millions of dollars or flip money and stuff like that. The requirements are different for different people. Right. So you have to look and see what you're actually needing, not necessarily wanting, but needing, because sometimes what we want is not necessarily what we need.
Right.
Absolutely. So look and evaluate what you actually need and see if that person can fit those things that that you need, that are valuable. that are not preferences that can be worked around. And
Right.
like Dre said, you know, do you have a genuine connection with this person?
Right.
Enough to work on that, you know, or look past certain deficiencies that are not important.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely. So basically, we don't have an answer for you.
No,
I'm
we
just
don't.
kidding. No, you just yeah. That was perfect though. Yeah, we did. We did
got you
good.
something to think about.
We did
you know?
good. Yeah, I think that was good. It's good. Okay, next question. How much should family members be involved in your relationships?
0.
Okay. You say 0.
Zero.
talk about
Not
that
even. Not
zero.
even a little bit.
Okay. What say ye?
Well,
Well,
I wouldn't say 0.
okay.
Because of course you have to live with this person. This is a person you're going to have to love and all that. But initially, it depends on certain things because you want, you know, some
What you
people
want, Vakisa?
want their father to, you know, examine whoever they're bringing home, or you know. So if first of all, if they meet your parents, your family involved anyway.
Right.
I mean, that's the smallest amount in interaction, or you know, that they will be involved. But of course, they shouldn't be involved in your business, your arguments, and things of that nature. I don't know how to. You know, I kind of, you know.
Can I interject and paint a picture?
Yep. Go ahead. Paint the picture. Paint the picture.
Say you meet a guy. He checks all the boxes. He's amazing. He treats you well. Everything is just exceeds expectation. He meets your parents and they say, "I don't like him." What are you to do? Like, do you discredit all of the good things and say, "Okay, this might be an issue," or do you say, "Hey, this person makes me happy. I hear what y'all saying, but respectfully, I'm gonna have to just, you know."
Don't ask. She answered. I hadn't answered yet,
Okay.
so we're gonna.
Well, yeah.
Well, in
That's
that
fine.
regard, see, there's where maturity comes in. It's a lot that goes into it. That's loaded, like family dynamics. You know, of course, you wouldn't just throw that away, right? But I would ask, why do you say you don't like him? What is the basis for this, right? Because they could be seeing something you don't see. Hopefully, your discernment ain't off or whatever about this person. Because, yeah. But anyway, so I'm just thinking about
Right.
situations that I know of with people, that didn't involve people in their stuff, and they ended up
In a mess.
in a mess because they were not trying to involve people in their relationship. And if they would have involved people in their relationship, they wouldn't have experienced a lot of the things that they didn't have to experience. But for me, I wouldn't. It's Brittany.
I'm just saying. I'm just here. I'm switching.
But I get what you're saying. But like I said, it's loaded because family dynamics, like if some people live for their family, right?
yeah.
That's terrible.
You
much.
know, it is. And I can't say I'm one of them. So, but
You said can't or
I
can't?
can't.
Oh,
Like,
okay, yeah.
to where what they say is, you know, what they say?
The gospel. It's
Yeah, the gospel.
your-
Yeah.
That's funny. Y'all are funny. So there, I think this is in Proverbs. It says that in the counsel of many there is strength, wisdom, something like that.
In the multitude of counsels, there's safety.
Safe. Yes,
Yeah.
that's it right there. Boom. That's why you're here. So I feel like if the people you have around me, because I think about myself, and I don't ever want to be a person that people cannot come to. If I'm your friend, if I'm in your family, I want you to know that you can confide in me, that I will give you good, wise advice. Like I want you to know that about me. Mm-hmm. So when I think about family members being involved in relationships, I think that there is an extent to that. Like if for one, you got to know your family, though. You got to know that your family is going to be objective. Because if they're not, then no, I don't want to hear what you have to say, because everything that you say is going to probably be catered to me and or you and what you want for me. And I don't want you to want what you want for me. I want you to want what's best for me. But you got to really know me to know that. And you got to really know what I'm looking for to know that. If you don't really know that, then is your advice, is your input, is your feedback, is it really helpful? Is it beneficial? If not, then that's okay. I'm going to have to pass on what you have to say. And then unsolicited advice is always you got to kind of take that as with a grain of salt. But you got to examine that. Like you think about family members and them telling you stuff, and some family members feel like you got to take it because it's them. But if I'm going to examine a stranger's words, I'm examining yours too. So even if what you're telling me sounds good, is it good for me? Because just with how I am about things, my final say-so, the final authority in my life is God, period. So if he has told me to do something, if he has given me the green light on something, then I really don't care what you say. Because if I don't do what he tells me to do, I'm being disobedient. And then his punishment is going to be way worse than you not talking to me for about 3 months. So I'm not, but I feel like some people involve family members in too much. Like I'm not, because the thing is when you tell people stuff, most of the time, unless you're a fair person, you only telling them your side of the story. So now they're framing a perspective about somebody based on what you're saying without they don't know the person that you're with like you know them. They don't spend the time with the person like you do. So they don't know conversations that you've had. And if you're going to involve them, you need to, I'm saying if, I'm not saying do this, like nobody should do this, but if you're going to, you need to involve them all the way. I mean, because if you're gonna have people dipping in and out of your business like that, then they need to be in bedroom conversations. And I'm not saying bedroom as in, you know what I'm saying, like not like that, but they need, when you on the phone late at night, they need to be on the phone. When you are at work talking to them, they need to be in text message threads if you're going to involve them, because that's the only way they're really going to know who you're dealing with. Otherwise, how can you really frame advice and a perspective about stuff if you don't have the full picture? So I think you just have to be careful the advice that you take. Of course, if a man is whooping on you and people see that he's controlling and possessive and abusive, then yeah, take that advice, But if it's in the example you gave, I would want to know why are you saying what you're saying? Because my family is important to me. I mean, our families are important, but you got to draw a line somewhere too, even in that, if it's not valid, if it's not right, and if it's not in your best interest. Because fooling with some of these folks' families, you gonna die single,
right?
Or leave here single,
family and friends,
right? Exactly, and that ain't. And then you gonna resent them, and you will not have lived the life that you were supposed to because you involved people too much. So,
I agree.
That's just how I feel about that. Okay, we good on that one? Y'all good on that one? Okay. Next question. How can you get out of your own way? You have some goals that are obtainable, habits you can break or develop, but daily you choose to not pursue that better you.
That's a deep one.
That's a really good one.
I would say, of course, to get to any destination, you have to first acknowledge where you are. Like, why are you where you are, and what is going on with you to the point where you don't feel like you can get out of your own way? What is hindering you? Do you have low self-esteem? Are you fearful? Like, what is the issue? What is the why behind you being stagnant and not, doing what you know you need to do? So I would say you would first need to do that. Take a deep dive into the why you're not doing whatever it is.
Yep.
She pretty much hit the nail on the head. I would also add to that just self-awareness overall. Yeah, you you got to learn yourself, and you got to and I'll say from personal experience, you got to fall out of love with comfort. Some people are, some people are in love with just being comfortable. Everything is perceived to be easy. Everything easy is good, and everything hard is bad. So.
I agree. I was having a conversation with my parents today. We were talking about food and stuff, and we were talking about people sick. Like, you know how now, back in the day, most of the time people that got sick and, passed away were older. But now it's like young people like that are sick. Like a lot of people are just sick. And so we were talking about the food and the things that we consume and all of that. And then we was like, we just need a farm. We just need to raise our own animals. We need to have our own garden and all this. And then they were talking about how it was hard work. And, I was like, most of the time things that are hard to do are the most rewarding things in your life. And so it's just, like you said, it's the things that it is work. It is hard work to get out of your way. It is hard work to grow and to develop and to just move in the direction of certain habits, but it's rewarding on the other side of it if you can actually get there. I think, too, for the person that asked this question, I think something that really needs to be commended and acknowledged is when we're able to say, okay, I am the problem. Like it's a big step to say I'm the problem. And to acknowledge that, I feel like that is the first step toward actually moving in a different direction. I mean, because it's not easy. We say stuff all the time. We say we're going to do stuff. I mean, I say I'm going to work out all the time. I really do. And I have the strongest intention to do it, and I don't ever do it. And I mean, I know I need to. I know you sure did.
We
you
both
really
need help at
did.
this point.
Oh, gosh. I probably hear the truth. It's terrible. I'm a bad influence. But, it is hard to do, but I think you just got to get started. And it takes a lot of discipline, too, to actually do something and even stick with it. It takes a lot of discipline in your mind to even move in the direction of doing something different in your life. So, man, what y'all said, it was perfect. I mean, we got to know where we are, got to acknowledge where we are, and be for real about it. Like, yes, this is an issue. What can I do to move away from here? And then we do got to fall out of love with being comfortable and stuff. Because, man, just cozying up to bad habits, it's a real thing. But whenever you can break those habits, that's when you see really your life start to flourish and blossom and move in the right direction. So,
Agreed.
Next question. How do you stay encouraged as a single person wanting to be married but finding it hard to date? I'm not answering this.
I think that question is for you.
Why
Got
is it
your
for
name
me?
written all over it.
Why is it for me? It's not for me. Man.
I'll say just staying focused on what matters and what's important, and knowing that what's for you will come in due time.
Okay, but what if, and this is a young lady that asked, what if at that time getting married is important? That is what they want to focus on.
Let me choose my words carefully again.
Because you're talking to a female. No,
Right, no, male or female.
Right, I know. Just talking.
I would say focus more on being a good partner than focusing on the want to get married.
Okay.
So if I'm a person, if I'm a man, if I'm a man and I say, okay, I can change that perspective from I want to be married to I want to be a great husband.
Mm-hmm.
So if I focus on those things, I feel like that will attract everything I need, which is a partner.
Okay.
That's good.
You ain't got nothing?
I pretty much second what Dre said. Just focus on, you becoming that wife that you want to become. And also focus on what you're supposed to be doing outside of being a wife. You have a whole life outside of that.
Very true.
you need to have, what are you going to bring to the table? Like,
What if they
whenever-
have that in order? What if they know?
Okay.
What if they are a what if they have done that? Like what are they, so like this, say for instance you're talking to a woman who has her stuff together, knows what she's doing and got what she got going on, and this now she's stopped at this place in her life to say, okay, I want a husband or I want to date somebody. Well,
And she said it's finding it hard to date, right?
Yeah, she said wants to be married but finding it hard to date.
Why is she finding it hard to date?
That's what I would like to know. Like, yeah.
Like, what is she doing?
Y'all act like that ain't
Like-
hard. For some people, like, for real, that's not easy for everybody.
What, just dating?
Yes.
How so? Like when you say that.
Okay, so I just look at it like this.
I mean, if we're talking intention, like dating is not the difficult part. Being intentional, that could be the difficult part. A person can go to Walmart right now and meet somebody and just get their number and go on a date tomorrow.
Okay, see, and maybe I'm thinking about this like this person is thinking about this.
Okay.
So
Enlighten us, please.
I'm about to enlighten you. I'm about to like
Okay.
give y'all some free game here, okay? No, but so I'm just gonna use myself as an example. Up until here recently, like I wasn't even focused on that at all. Like, period. It just didn't matter, one way or the other. And even now, I would say it doesn't. It's not a focal point in my life. In that regard, but okay, so I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of self work. So there are things that I have healed from, things that I've addressed in my life, things that I fixed. I know I'm not trying to figure stuff out. I'm not going through an identity crisis. I know what I want. I know who I am. I know how to get what I want. I know how far I'm going to go to get what I want to get. I know what I will and will not compromise on, all the things. I got all that in order, right? Because of that, you become very selective with who you give your time and attention to. I am not going on a date with just anybody. I can meet you at Walmart. You can hit me up on Instagram, whatever. I'm not
Right,
going on
you're
a
not
date
getting
with
that
you.
number.
You're not getting my number. I'm not going out with you. If I don't want to, I'm not. I cannot sit up on the phone with just anybody all the time. I'm not going to be texting somebody. Like, I just can't entertain just anybody.
That sounds like you got your intentions in order.
Right, but because of that, so I feel like we're all monogamous, right? We don't want to have like 5 husbands and 3 wives, right? Okay, they're starting to like back in the day. I would have done that. Like I was going on dates all the time, whatever. But still, even in that, there was one person out of all 780 of those people that I had seven. This is just
780?
like, this is just an arbitrary number, y'all. So like they're even in that. Like if I were to wanted to get married back when I was 22, I had 780 options. Now that 780 has dwindled to 17. You know what I mean? And so the selection is a little bit more. It's a little slim. It's a little scarce. Okay. When it's like that, when you're a woman who is you're now trying to pursue someone with intention, that's out of those 17, 17 of them may not work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think like for women, some women, that's where the difficulty comes in at, is because you don't just be wanting to be out here doing stuff. And I would say that for the person that asked the question, I feel like that is kind of the vein that they're in. That's the type of person they are. So, I mean, and then too, y'all, no offense to you probably not, you're not like this, but I'm going to say this. Joy, let me preface what I'm about to say with this. So I I love men. I appreciate men. I was raised by a really great man. So he not only showed us like how you're supposed to treat a wife and how you're supposed to care for a family, he also has, I've been shown how to value, respect, honor, appreciate, and just uphold the role of a man in a home.
Mm-hmm.
So nowadays though, men are making it hard for women to actually just want to date them. Some of them are. Some of them are.
Speak on it.
They really are. And I'm gonna tell you why. It's because we're in this climate where you got like men over here, women over here, and in this divide is a whole lot of man versus woman, red pill, blue pill,
right.
Misogyny, feminism, hypermasculinity, all that stuff is there. And now it feels like a lot of women feel like they have to compete with men for who's more valuable, who's worth pursuing, who's the prize. Like, it's a lot of men sitting on a lot of couches and a lot of chairs behind a lot of mics talking about what women ought to do, and women do this too, when all you got to do is just get up and go do what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think that's especially in the black community, because everybody else ain't talking about this
At
stuff.
all.
Everybody else is going out. Men know what to do. They know where they're supposed to be. Women know where they're supposed to do. Where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to do. We're sitting up talking about more of this stuff than actually doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you leaving a lot of women out here to try to like proposing to men and doing all this extra stuff. Like, what are you doing? You know, and I feel like whenever women get in the space where they find it difficult today and they want to get married, that's when they get desperate and they just start doing stuff because they feel like they have to, because a lot of the men that probably could be are good men just want to sit up and talk about stuff all the time. Just go. If you would actually just instead of talking about what women ought to be doing, go and ask a good woman out on a date. Like, just do that. You know, you trying to really, what a lot of what's happening is people are getting scarred because they're pursuing the wrong type of people.
Absolutely.
And so then you get behind the mic again and you want to gripe about it whenever you should have just chosen differently in the first place. And so now it's like women are just finding it difficult. I don't know. It's just, so I get what this person is saying, because I'm not meeting somebody at Walmart and going on a date with them. I'm just not. Like, if you're not, yeah.
So if we look at it just from a standpoint of statistics, right? Do y'all think that in the black community we have these issues and these same old talking points, and it's like you said, man versus woman, and then what it really looks like is women are saying you go first, and men are saying nah, you go first. And in my opinion, I don't know if y'all agree with this, at the core of that is because such a huge population of us didn't have an example. So these talking points are coming from people who haven't seen it and have never done it. So that's where all the talking is coming from.
For sure.
It's about like a person who they don't know how to play basketball, so all they can do is sit on the bench and talk.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a lot of what's going on. Like a lot of fathers in these homes.
Yeah.
A lot of men were raised by a single mother. Nothing against single mothers.
Yeah, for sure.
But if you didn't have that example of a man, you very much kind of don't. You just kind of winging it. And you don't really know what to do.
Right.
But
and
talk.
That's it. That's all you know. And then too, some people don't know how to change the narrative. They don't know how to break cycles, and they don't know how to get out of stuff. And so, because I look at my dad as an example. So he wasn't raised by his dad. His dad lived in the same city as him, lived like not too far from him. Wasn't raised by his mom or his dad. He was raised by his grandfather. His grandfather passed away. And so he always said, he told us when we were younger, he always said, I'm not going to be like my dad was. And so he intentionally change the narrative. Like, he didn't want that for his family, and a lot of people aren't doing that. They're looking at examples and they're letting that be their guide versus letting it be their motivation to do something different.
Right.
And then you bring kids in the mix and you raise boys who end up doing the same thing you did, and it's like, when is somebody gonna choose different? It's a choice. Like, it's a conscious decision that you make, and just people don't do it. They don't make it.
And I think that that's another dangerous thing about, like, holding on to resentment and hurt.
For sure.
Because once you internalize that stuff, like, from a subconscious standpoint, you'll want to experience more of that. So you'll end up putting your kids through that same lack that you experienced. And then your subconscious part of it is cool with it, because you're like, okay, well, people need to feel what I went through.
Yes, exactly. It's kind of like hazing.
Yeah.
And sororities and fraternities. We had to go through it, so we're going to put you through it.
Yep.
Okay. Are we ready for the next question? Since y'all just going on all these dates and I'm just out here going to work all the time.
I'm not saying that's what's going on.
I'm just talking. Okay, here we go. Next question. I struggle being bold in my faith. What should I do? You want me? You got it?
What does it mean? What do they mean by bold in their faith? Like, bold in their profession of their faith, or bold in faith as in believing in God or what God has said?
I feel like this person is talking about just being able to express it, not more so profess it, but being able to actively discuss it, and even stances that they take. They want to be able to stand bold on what their faith is. Like, I think this is what this person is asking.
Okay, well, I would say, for starters, you need to know what you have faith in. So by reading your word and actually studying things, because the Bible tells us to study to show ourselves approved, that'll help you better have a footing and foundation for you to be able to stand and be bold in your faith. So I would encourage you to do that if you haven't already. And then when you start experiencing good things, like you have a good product, you go to a good restaurant or something, you're going to tell somebody about it, right? So the more you experience God and get into your own testimony with God and start experiencing God for yourself in a real way, I believe that will come out, or it should come out. But I think those two things, just experience and then just reading and studying the word, so you'll know what your faith is actually in, will help you to be more bold.
Yep. I agree. And too, when I think about being bold in something, or being able to just actively or verbally express what I believe, how I believe, I think a lot of times the more knowledge we have, the more confident we are. What we know more about, we are more confident to talk about it. I think sometimes we struggle with boldness in faith because we are afraid that we're going to be confronted with something that we don't know, or we're going to be confronted with something that is going to challenge what I believe and why and how I believe what I believe. And so the more we commune with God, the more we're in fellowship with him, the more intimate we become with him, I feel like the more confident we will be in our faith. And then a lot of times, the more you know, the easier it is for you to say, I don't know. And you'll be able to just approach people with the perspective that, okay, I want to talk to you about this. I want you to be pulled into what I'm saying. But at the same time, if there is something that we end up exploring that I don't know, I will find an answer. I will tell you I don't know, but I will find an answer for you. But I do think that the more that you know, the more confident you are to share what you need to share about your faith. You'll know why you believe what you believe. You know who you believe in. You'll know how faith works, and you'll know, just what you need to share with other people, because the Holy Spirit will reveal that to you, especially if you have a desire to do that, because I don't think God ever wants us to be ashamed of our faith. He always wants us to be able to share that with somebody, and if he does, then he'll give us the tools and the knowledge necessary to be able to do it. And then too, I think about, like, in the word, how it talks about, babies, and it talks about us coming to Jesus as children, and it talks about immature believers. We all will be there. We all have been there. We all will be there. And in that place, when you are there, is the time where you're most impressionable. That's the time where you really, really need to dig in and get to know as much as you know. And until then, until you are truly convinced, because I can't convince people of something that I'm not truly convinced of, until you are truly convinced, just be bold in your lifestyle. You don't have to say anything all the time. Sometimes it does not take us opening our mouth and vocalizing what it is that we know, vocalizing what it is that we believe. Sometimes all people need to see is what you do. And if people see what you do, they can buy in to who you say you're doing it for. And I think it'll get easier for you to have the confidence that you need to stand up for your faith, to give an answer for the things that you need to give an answer for, and just to be bold enough to just share what it is that you need to share about your faith and about who your faith is in. And so, yeah.
And I'll say also just accepting that you will never know everything.
Yes.
Because the
Yes.
anxiety of even thinking about that will stop some people from being bold,
Yes.
period. Just
Yes.
know that you will never know everything there is to know.
That's right. Never.
But move regardless.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, love it. See, that was a good one. Okay, next question. It just says starting over. Career, love life, personal habits, etc. When do you know it's time? And then how can you be comfortable with the changes?
So I'll say just being in a space of humility and even just breaking it down to a more simplistic mindset. Every day is a new day. Every day is new experiences. You're literally a new person every day.
Yes.
So if you keep that in the forefront of your mind, then I think all the other stuff will be easier to accept. Like even the concept of starting over. You start over every day you wake up.
That's true.
So-
Yep. That's why we get new mercies every day.
Right.
Because
right.
God knows we need something new for every day, because we're going to face something different every day. He creates us new stuff every day.
Yep. I would say they asked, "How do you know?
How do you start over?
How do you start?
How
over?
do you know? When do you know it's time? And how can you be comfortable with the changes?
Well, sometimes an indicator is you get uncomfortable. We've heard that, when God wants you to move, he makes you uncomfortable. Sometimes those situations that you kind of already know that you need to be out of starts to get worse and worse, unbearable to a point. I think that's a good indicator if things have gotten worse. But that's not always the case, but sometimes it is. A lot of times it is. I would say also if you just hit a wall, if whatever you're doing is not working anymore, it's time to look at something else. It may not be that I'm not talking about relationship-wise, but like a career-wise, like if you love what you're doing, maybe it's time for you to explore another avenue, another stream of income if you feel like the Lord has called you to be in that particular career, or just explore a different employer or whatever. It's kind of, it gets a little tricky, but I would definitely say, if you start feeling uncomfortable, you already have this inner knowing that it's time to do something different. That's an indicator. Things start getting worse. Money start getting short. For me, it was a job that I was in. It was already stressful because I was doing 50 million things, and then as time went on, I was making less and less money. And I was like, okay, this ain't making sense because the math definitely ain't mathing. It's time to do something different.
Yeah.
So definitely just looking at those indicators in whatever the situation is. And if you're not growing, if you're not advancing, sometimes we outgrow people, we outgrow seasons, outgrow jobs. If there's no growth, they say if you're not growing, you're dying. So we don't want to die. You be the living dead around here. So look at that as well.
Right. Love it. Love it. That's what y'all said. I think that was perfect. I don't have anything for that. That was really good. Okay, last question. How do you know when God is calling you to do something, and how do you know what it is? I think that's a really good question for you.
Yeah.
And you.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Perfect.
I mean, I feel like just being in tune with your faith, number one, and number two, just assessing those feelings, like not like whatever you feel instinctively in your heart, like paying close attention to that, like blocking out, what looks good on paper, what might look good for your life, or what you might want personally. You just gotta really like tap into those feelings, and that will lead you to obedience, in my opinion.
Yeah. So for a long time, I did not know, like, I could not recognize exactly, like, what I was supposed to do, when I was supposed to be doing it, how I was supposed to be doing it, mainly because I thought that there was always going to be this one thing that I was supposed to do. Like, people always made it seem like your calling, your gifts, like your purpose was this one track, just avenue to wherever you were going. It was like only one thing you were supposed to be focused on. And whenever I realized that God calls us to different things based on the people that we're supposed to be impacting. And so it's not more so, because I just feel like this. I feel like the things that we are called to do are not for us. Mm-mm. They're not for us. And so whenever I really started to embrace that mindset, I started to know when it was something that God was nudging me about. Like, it would be something that would just, sometimes it would just come to me and he'd be like, Brittany, you do this. Or it would just be things that were really, really heavy on me to do. And I would be like, okay, I'm going to do this. Or even things that I was really good at, and I would really try to focus on those things and really let God help me develop those things so that I could give the best of me to the people that he called me to in that season of my life. And so, I feel like a lot of times when we think about God calling us to something and how we know what it is, I think we really have to think about the people too that we're attached to at the time. And we have to go beyond what it is that we want, like you said, we want for our lives, and what's going to be the most beneficial, not just to me, but to the multitude of people that are around me. And so that really helped me to know when God was calling me to something, what it was and what I was supposed to do. That thing that I couldn't stop thinking about it, that thing that I couldn't stop wanting to do was the thing that was going to help people around me. And so, even just like with this, I've been singing for the longest, since I was 5 years old. I've been singing. And I've always loved to write. And I was doing that stuff, but I wasn't doing it intentionally. I was just doing it. But all of those things, even when I started podcasting and when I started just kind of putting myself out there in a different way publicly, that's when the Lord really showed me the evangelism track, and because I was already doing that stuff anyway. I was already telling people about the Lord, like that. I was already doing that. And so whenever I really sat in that and accepted it, it was easier to hear what God was trying to tell me to do. And so I think, you listen to God's voice, but you also have to understand that your calling may not be your calling in 3 weeks. Your purpose today may not be your purpose in 6 months. It may be something different. And I think when we think about it like that, instead of trying to hone in on this one thing for the rest of your life, I think you'll be more open to hearing what it is that you're supposed to do in that season of your life. Because seasons change, time changes, opportunities change, and when they do, we got to be willing to accept that and change with it. So, yeah, that's all I
agree.
Got.
It's good.
Whatever. I'm just kidding. I have a question actually. So nobody asked this. I always got questions. I'm full of questions. So how do y'all feel? Because, you know, we're in a political season, and we hear a lot of people talking about stuff on social media, different places. How do y'all feel about church leaders discussing politics?
I'll let y'all have that one.
Well, I will say this, you know, in history, politics were discussed in churches. Churches actually formed movements and did all of that. But I think it's how it's discussed. Like, if you're actually pushing for a particular, when it comes to discussing politics in church, anything that's discussed in church should be based upon, you know, you using it or you examining it with the word, right? So if you're looking at things, I think, with that lens, and how you, when you're looking at truth and facts, it should be I think it's okay. But if you're just out here discussing politics and you're discussing, you know, hearsay and things that are not, you know, factual and just your personal opinion versus, you know, what is real, then that's definitely an issue. But it's definitely a way to do it and definitely not a way to do it, and I don't know how to tell you how to do it. I don't do it. So.
It's like, I don't know. Just do what you do it, but do it right. Do what you do it right.
Definitely have to be led by God on that one, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. I know I asked the question, but I do have an opinion on this. When you look back, because we're talking about church leaders, right? Church leaders are supposed to be, well, depending on what type of church you're supposed to be preaching or talking or speaking or doing what you're doing from the word, right? Mm-hmm. When you look back in history, early church days, in the Bible, there were politics everywhere. I mean, judges, and look at Daniel and how he wasn't he like over the presidents or something, second president, something like that. Joseph, you look at all those people, they were in political positions. Joseph was Pharaoh's like right-hand man. So politics were a part of the early church days. I mean, and even if, I think it's over, is it over in Romans? Where, somewhere where we are told to, I think Paul said, pray for governmental officials, like pray for your leaders. And we're supposed to obey the laws of the land as long as those laws aren't in opposition with God's law. So politics are a thing. They're a thing. And I feel like God is transcendent, but he is also immanent. So he is above us, way above us, but he is close enough that he cares about what's going on in the world. So if he cares about what's going on in the world, he has to care about politics too. And so I think, like you said, there is a way to do it, but I don't think that you should not do it, because as leaders, you are leading people. And if you're leading people, you're supposed to help guide them. You're supposed to help instruct them. And so if you're doing that, then the political aspect of life is a thing for people. I think that, you know, even just people voting, and especially as Black people, being able to just engage in those different opportunities, I think that that's important to even stress to people. Is like a lot of our ancestors fought for a lot of the things that we can enjoy today. So even just kind of making people privy to stuff like that, I think it's important. I think they should talk about it. Now, how they do it, of course, like you don't need to be malignant when you do it and just be like condescending, but I feel like you should care enough about people to discuss that, because some people are not informed. Some people don't know what's going on. And, you know, just to kind of maybe give them a little insight on certain things, I think is always helpful.
I agree.
Just me. But like, we ain't got to be fighting and arguing in church about who
Right.
gonna be the next president of the United States. That's crazy. But you know, just do what you can. Do what you can. I have one more question. So and then we're done. This is my question too. So you mentioned this, and so I thought about it when I was thinking about this. How do y'all feel about women who enforce a 90-day rule for intimacy? How y'all feel about that?
I mean, I think it's a personal decision. I don't see an issue with it. I think more so the focus would have to be the why. Same way I feel about the concept of bringing certain things to the table. You gotta get to the core of why you enforce those things. So
Okay.
I feel the same way about that as I do about the 90-day rule.
Okay.
The why you're enforcing is way more important than the what.
Okay. So, okay.
I agree.
Dang, I'm about to be the eyeball.
But I agree with Dre in the aspect of you have to know why you're doing it. Are you doing it because the book told you to do it? Are you doing it because you're trying to weaponize it? Or why are you doing it? Me personally, I've never thought of, I'm counting out 90 days before, I've never done that. So it's definitely, like Dre said, why is it being done in the first place? I think it's maybe good for some, because some may, come from a time where, hey, first night, hey, it's on. So that's progress, so I don't know, but I mean, why just do it for 90 days? Why don't you just go, But yeah, that's all I got for right now. I might have something else after you get through talking.
No, I don't know.
I mean, I'm going out with that one.
That was my intention.
Of course.
Okay, so I think, what do I think? I think y'all was thinking about this as we were talking. That's why I be like looking over like I be spaced out. I should be thinking about stuff. Sorry, y'all. I think it's irresponsible and negligent. That's what I think. The reason being is because I feel like you are putting a number on something that cannot be measured. Like me giving my body to somebody. This is how serious intimacy is to me now. If I can sleep with you at 90 days, I can marry you at 90 days. Not saying I'm gonna do that. Like, I'm not saying I'm gonna marry somebody in 90 days. But I feel that seriously about it. Mm-hmm. Because if I'm looking at a number because a lot of people don't think about the why. They think the number, and they think that is the standard. And this is where I am. When we hit that 90-day mark, you still here, we're good to go. And that's it. And I feel like you are basically saying, okay, at 90 days, even if because let's be real, like you with somebody and sexual attraction is gonna be there. Like you gonna want to do something. It's just we're sexual beings. So if I say if at 90 days, if the only thing that is keeping me from sleeping with you is a number, at 90 and a half days, we doing something.
You're not taking it serious enough.
You're not taking it serious enough.
Yeah.
And then at 98 days, what if we're done? And so now I've just basically given something to you You've given something to me, because I think too that's something that we don't think about. Women are normally the ones that enforce this, and so we don't really value the man's body in this. It's just all about us. So we couldn't care less about you. This is the rule for me. I'm not even honoring your body. I'm gonna take what I'm gonna get from you at 91 days, and I don't even care that I'm honoring and respecting you. It's all about me. But you're giving this up to somebody just for y'all to go your separate ways, and that's it. But then when you think about, and of course, I think people know, y'all know, I subscribe to the belief that I want to wait till I get married to have sex. Now, have I always done it? No, I have not. But here we are now, and we starting over. Oh, whatever. So, I'm doing my best. But, so, I mean, I subscribe to that belief. So, if marriage is the standard instead of 90 days,
Right.
if the idea is you marry somebody that's for you so you can stay married to them. The goal is that you stay married. If that's the standard, I feel like, because this is my thing about intimacy, I feel like that should be one of, if not the most freeing thing you do with someone in a relationship. Like it is the closest that you will get, besides like a spiritual or mental connection. It's the closest thing that you will get to oneness with a person physically. It is. So that should be, you should be having like an otherworldly experience when you sleeping with somebody. If they're your spouse, I feel like it's more freeing in that environment, especially if it's somebody that you're supposed to be with. It's going to be a different type of feeling than if you just wait 92 days. You don't know what's going to happen at 108 days, but you just hoping for the best.
Right.
But if you actually marry somebody for the right reason and it's the right person, you already know it's the best. And so if that's the standard versus a number, I feel like things would be better for both people. Then you don't have to walk away and be like, dang, why I sleep with them? I ain't even with them. I don't even want to be with them. You don't have to like regret giving yourself to somebody that like nothing came of it, It's just, so yeah.
Can we touch a bit more on how you said in that I guess in that scenario how men's bodies are not as valued? Can we touch on that a little bit more? Why do y'all think that is? And let me paint a picture. Like, so for example, like what you just said, waiting 90 days. I've had conversations with family members, female friends, etc., like over the years, and one thing that I noticed is that when it comes to, if a woman does decide to be intimate with a guy, if it's less than satisfactory, a woman can remove herself from the situation with no judgment. But if a man finds the situation less than satisfactory and he removes himself from the situation, he gets a lot more hate and a lot of more judgment, if that makes sense. Like I've had female friends that have said like literally, I was dealing with this guy and we were intimate and I didn't like it, so I ghosted him and blocked his number.
Oh my gosh, no way.
But if I as a man do that,
yeah,
I'm a terrible person.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, I think it all is bad, but
yeah,
what's y'all's take on that? Like, why do y'all think that is? Like, why do, in certain situations like that, women get a lot of more, I guess, less than harsh judgment?
Because men have been over-sexualized.
Okay.
Some people expect men to be sexual beings, therefore they put a higher expectation on sexual performance versus women. Like, we can, so I don't want to get too, like, I won't get too explicit, but it's okay for women to be lazy or, just not have to
not present.
perform. Yeah, not present or not to perform at a higher standard, because we're not supposed to be sexual anyway. We're supposed to accept a man's sexual nature, and we're supposed to just be involved in it. We're not supposed to be active in it. We're just supposed to just go along with whatever he's doing. He leads out in sexuality, or sexual stuff. You know, I can't think of the word.
But if
I could think of a word right there. But like, go ahead.
So, but wouldn't a woman's standpoint, like if a woman says it was less than satisfactory, so I removed myself, wouldn't that kind of be her taking that leadership mindset?
No,
because she's not just saying I'm letting him lead. She's basically saying you need to appease me in this way.
That's not her lead. That's her expecting you to lead better, basically. It's her expecting you to lead better sexually. She's feeling like I should not have to. He should know what to do. He should know how to do it, and he doesn't. So I'm getting out of the way. I'm gonna remove myself, and that's such a flawed mindset anyway. Like
because I feel like I agree with you, but by verbalizing that you have a standard, it makes you look over sexualized.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. But what I'm saying, when I say over sexualized, I mean men are. It's okay for men to sleep with a whole bunch of women. It's not okay for women to sleep with a whole bunch of men. Mm-hmm. It's okay for women to not, like you said, not meet satisfactory standards, but a man cannot do that. It's because of the expectation that is there for men. Women are not supposed to know have it all figured out. Men are, period. So just like you lead in finances, just like you lead in cutting the yard, just like you lead in changing the oil, you're supposed to lead in, in that area too. Okay. Women put that pressure on y'all. Right. And so now you don't do it, it's like, oh, yeah, he ain't it. So it's basically equivalent to you not being able to lead me in other areas. Like you just don't know what you're doing. And then women can talk about that stuff, but men can't. Like you said, it's a problem. You better not go out here and talk about a woman like that. Man. But women do it. I'm not discussing that with people. Like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Y'all don't even want to talk about it anyway. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to get on the phone with somebody and say, oh my gosh, girl, that was terrible. Like, I'm not doing that.
Who does that?
I'm not.
First of all, I'm not.
Right, exactly. I'm not doing that. Right. I'm not. We're not doing that. Like I don't, and I don't need. Honestly, none of my friends, when I was, in my old life doing my own thing, none of my friends, not even males, have ever even asked me anything about my sexual life. None of them, because they don't. You know better. You know we're not talking about that. But yeah, but I think that's what I think. I don't know. Could be wrong. What do you think?
Well, I agree with everything that you said, and I feel like I don't know too much. I don't study it or whatever. I just hear, here and there about feminine and masculine energy. I think that's a woman taking on masculine energy by taking on that perspective or that stance of, you ain't good enough, So there's a energy switch there. Like I said, I haven't really delved into, what all that means or whatever, but it definitely seems that way. Like Dre was he asked the question, does it seem like the woman is taking a leadership role or whatever? And in this society, change roles. Men are being women, women being men. Everybody
like
can do both.
Real life.
In real life.
It's really happening.
Full-fledged.
Like, really happening.
So, things are just out of whack everywhere.
Yeah, they're a little different. And I think, too, it has a lot to do with people telling people to just do what you feel, do what you want to do, be you, be free, whatever. And so now because women feel so free and liberated to sleep with so many different people and just be like, I'm just gonna sleep around. You know, when they do, I feel like that does cause a shift in this the masculine and the feminine role, but it's not leadership. It's just irresponsibility. Like, you just really, it's immaturity to me. I mean, because if you can, for one, if you have a discussion, if you can discuss stuff like that with people, I feel like you need to grow up. I do. That's just me.
Agreed.
And then two, if you are experiencing, why does that word sound weird? If you're experiencing that many people to the point where you feel like if somebody isn't up to par, it's just that easy to walk away, you only want to have sex with people anyway. That's all you want. So you don't need to have conversations with people like drunk. Like, what you need ever? You just need to go. Maybe you're in the wrong occupation. Maybe you need to do something else for a living. Like, if that's all you're looking for out of a person, there are jobs, may not be legal, but there are jobs that let you just do that. And some of them are. I mean, you know, you can get on your computer and find it if you want to. There are things that because that's basically what you are. Just you're devaluing yourself by allowing that to be the indicator for whether or not you continue with a person. Like, that's crazy to me.
We living in wild times. Like
We
y'all
living in
said,
wild
Love
times.
is a pleasure.
Yes.
we are literally living in a time where, and it might be male and female, but you got people that seek financial gain online from making content, but then will turn around and want to be valued and spoiled and uplifted.
What they say? Yeah.
And it just don't make sense.
They want to be flew out. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
Flew out. I don't.
Doesn't make sense.
No, at all. I don't get it. But this is where we are.
This is where we are.
No, well, this is the time. These are the times we're in. We're not there.
Right, definitely not.
They're there, but we're living amongst this stuff. I mean, it's real. It's real. But yeah, I think that is a poor appreciation for yourself and your own body, but even just for somebody else. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think we would do good to consider other people in a lot of the decisions that we make. And I know, and I'm not saying consider other people in just as far as like what people perceive and what they want for you, but consider how what you do affects other people and what it can cause to happen in somebody else's life, you know. And I know ultimately we're individuals, so we make our own decisions. So it's my decision to sleep with you. It's your decision to, you know, engage. But at the same time, though, if I frame a perspective or a mindset that says I'm going to make a decision for both of us. So if you do something, it will not be with me. You have to make that decision with somebody else. I think a lot of situations wouldn't turn out the way that they turn out. I'm not going to be the cause of your downfall. I'm not going to be the cause of a conversation that's going to be had about you with my girlfriend. You know, like, I'm not going to involve myself in that. Mm-hmm. If we would be a little more selfless sometimes, you know, I think a lot of stuff would turn out a lot better. But I don't know.
So I got a question. Can I shake things up a bit?
What's up?
So I saw this clip earlier, right? From a very influential celebrity in the Christian arena, and I want to play this clip and get y'all's perspective on it.
Okay.
I believe that marriage has been weaponized in Western Christianity. Giving has been weaponized in Western Christianity. Sexuality has been weaponized. For example, any woman listening to this can attest in our culture. Don't be no 30, 35-year-old single black woman and go to the family reunion. All the older women are going to do them. They're going to look at you and wonder, why you not married?
Where your man at? Where your kids at?
Like it's a prerequisite for identity and value. That if you don't have a man, if you don't have kids, that something about you is broken. Do you understand how dysfunctional these messages are?
Yeah.
And how we super spiritualize these messages. Paul said, but marriage is a necessary distraction. I have many friends that were in ministry at church, and the church has told them, if you're going to be in ministry, you can't be single. We're not going to let you work with the youth ministry if you're single. You can't do this if you're single. And so what people do, they quickly get married thinking that they're fulfilling God's will for their lives, but they are fulfilling man's dogma. You can be single and be used by God. You can be single and have purpose. Being married is not a prerequisite for God's hand on your life. It is not, but we've weaponized it. And then crucify people. Where my camera at?
Right there.
And then crucify people when those same marriages don't.
What's your thoughts on that?
I agree
Okay.
wholeheartedly.
Okay.
I agree wholeheartedly. And even how you brought that up about when Paul said, because Paul said the wife is going to want to please the husband is going to want to please the wife. And he also said in there, he said, I wish all of you were like me. Paul was single. But he was like, I know that's not the case. But he was like, marriage is a gift. Singleness is a gift. But if you are single, you can focus on your work for the Lord. But if you want, then, he just says a lot of stuff in that particular part of the letter. So I agree with what he's saying. People do. They almost dehumanize you because you're older and you're single. And I will say I don't get that pressure, a lot of that pressure from people. I will say people do ask me, Brittany, they'll ask me, you date anybody, or do you want to be with anybody, or do you want to be married? But like, it's not like pressure. It's just like it's a question, and I get somehow some people would ask the question, they want to know, but I don't get a lot of that from people, and maybe I look mean or something. Maybe I look like
I think it's very contradictory. So I get the question why I don't have kids yet. My answer is usually because I've never been married.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I think people just be talking.
They do, and that is it, because that's been the goal for people. And granted, back in the day, they were living in times where women needed, if their parents wanted them out of the house, and so in order to be taken care of, they needed a man to take care of them. So marriage and children, that was really, really pushed back in the day. And now though, the world already overpopulated. We really don't need that many more kids. But it's people, and I'm not to say that women don't need men now, like don't need a husband or whatever, because if the Lord sends me somebody, I would gladly take him so that I can quit pumping gas and taking trash out of all that. I will, but seriously though, not saying that we don't need men in our lives, but women are able to work and go to school and take care of themselves. So it's not a mandated requirement that a woman have somebody in the home to take care of her. And so things are different now, but yeah, people, they'll ask you. Like, I will say, people that haven't seen me in a long time, family members that haven't seen me in a long time, they'll ask, Brittany, are you dating anybody? No. Do you want to date anybody? At the time, no. Are you thinking about getting married? You want kids? And then, no. Like, and the reason why I say no is because, like, I just don't want to feel like going back and forth with you about this. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna answer and we're gonna be done talking. But it's crazy to really, like you said, weaponize it like that against people, like something is wrong with you. So
I just feel like that clip was fitting for today's episode.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't experience that type of pressure either. Like, I do get the questions here and there, you know, are you dating anybody? You know, are you going to have any kids? Do you want to have kids? But there has never been a pressure like that. And it may be because it goes back to family dynamics. Families are not like they are, you know, like they used to be. Grandmas are not grandmas anymore.
No.
Right? They're younger and younger.
Right.
And things are a lot more dysfunctional. So there's not going to be a pressure to, you know, have a husband or a family. Now, it may be a pressure to have some kids.
They already
you
got
know,
them.
like, right, because they
They
already
got
got them,
grandkids.
or whatever. So some of them will pressure you to have kids without being, you know,
Right.
married.
Right.
You know, so I don't experience it, but definitely I agree. You know, it has been weaponized, and I think sometimes it may have not been weaponized, but just looking out for the person, because a wife is a man's favor. So being that he's taking on such a great task, it is a good idea. Not to say it's a mandate, but a good idea to have that helpmate, you know, to help carry that load. You know, so not saying I'm sure, you know, especially in the old days, that meant you need to have somebody. You know, it was weaponizing or whatever. But today, if it was to be pushed in a more conventional, non-traditional church setting, I don't think it would be because they're weaponizing them, but just basically looking out for them and say, hey, you need somebody to balance you out. You know, so, but yeah.
That's it. No more questions. I don't have any more questions.
I don't have any.
Okay. Well, look, thank y'all for doing this.
Absolutely.
And, you know, just indulging the questions of different people. And I appreciate people asking, because, you know, there's just stuff people want to know. And I know I have questions for people all the time. And so I feel like it's good whenever we can engage each other and just get each other's perspective on different things. So, yeah, thank y'all so much. I think that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you so much for tuning in on The Traditional Millennial, where conventional meets contemporary and faith fills the gaps.